Alright, this is period 1, key concept 1.1, big geography and the peopling of the earth. The term big geography draws attention to the global nature of world history. Throughout the Paleolithic period, humans migrated from Africa to Eurasia to Australia and the Americas. Now, one thing to note, when people were moving, we know about the Bering Strait. The Bering Strait is a land bridge of ice. During the Ice Age, there were many more glaciers on the planet, all over the place, but especially in the different poles of the planet, there were more glaciers. And as they've melted, the water level has risen, and this got rid of this land bridge that would have connected Asia and Africa, the Bering Strait. But it also got rid of the land bridge that would have allowed people to go from Africa into Australia. And people have gotten to Australia much earlier than they got to the Americas. I think it's usually known about 25,000 years ago that they get into the Americas, and about 30, maybe more, thousand years ago that they got to Australia. But what happens is the Earth gets peopled. People start moving everywhere around the planet. The human groups at this time were mostly hunters and gatherers. They went around hunting and gathering their food. The majority of, everybody in the society would hunt and or gather. The entire society was built on getting food for the group. And through, archaeology and study of modern hunter and gatherer societies, we understand that they're pretty egalitarian, both in class and in gender. They treat each other equally. There's not a lot of class hierarchy. There's no upper class compared to the lower class. And in gender, the two genders were pretty much equal. They had different roles, but there was an equality, a sense of equality. There was no patriarchy or matriarchy in the society. Another thing we can know about hunter and gatherers is how much land it took roughly to live. Numbers are roughly about a square mile of land per person. So in a 50 square mile area, you could only have about 50 people live. And most bands were no more than 50 to 100 just because of environmental pressures. You couldn't get much larger than that when you're running around in hunter and gatherer bands. These groups would create and use different tools. Out of wood, stone. In fact, that's what we call it, the Stone Age. Two terms you should know during this is the Paleolithic, and this is the time frame when humans are using stone tools, but are still these hunter and gatherer societies. It's the old Stone Age. They're using stone tools. They're creating this bone, stone, wood, string. They create a bow and arrow to more effectively hunt and live. They create a lot of fishing nets, fishing tools, because the majority of their food is coming from fish. The majority of their protein, the hunters are fishing as much, if not more, than they are hunting. And they also come up with fire. And fire is to protect against predators, to adapt to cold environments, to clear land, to aid at night, to help them to stay. Everything fire would be used for. But humans are having fire during this time. They also adapt to a wide range of tools for the environments they live in. They can live here in a temperate zone, or they can adapt to colder or warmer zones. They adapt their clothing, they adapt their tools, they adapt their lifestyle according to what they eat. And where they go, they become very adaptable. I mean, they're humans. They're groups of humans living together. These are not Neanderthals or different types of hominids. These are Homo sapiens sapiens. These are human bands. Another thing we want to know about them as we wrap up is that they are often grouped together in kinship groups. Large hunter and gatherer societies are often one group together, one large set of kinship groups. They do interact with each other. They're not all self-sufficient. They exchange people, ideas, goods in raiding parties, in peaceful trade. They develop language, they develop fire, they develop tools. But they're mostly living in hunting and gathering communities. This is Paleolithic. This is roughly from the time period 40,000 BCE to about 8,000 BCE. And that's what we're looking at. So that's period 1, key concept 1.1, hunting and gathering societies, peopling the earth, and big geography.